this video, I am going to talk about the female Bristlenose Plecos, kind of as a group, using the super red here as a representative. They are awesome. They're wonderful fish to have in your tank. They are awesome algae eaters. I'm going to show you my tank later. We're going to do a little bit of a video with both of them eating in the tank, and they are just awesome. I don't have to clean my glass on the inside for algae, and so that they're just really the world. I feel like they're the world's best algae eaters. All right, I'm going to pull her out here in a moment, and I want to show you some little details about her. You see, this is a female. Definitely no bristlenose, no bristles on the front. When you see the male, you're going to say, "Oh, okay, that's bristles." Well, a friend of mine had a thing saying that basically if they see any, unless you know otherwise, unless you've caught them laying eggs, if you see even small bristles on the nose, think of it as a male. All right, now I'm going to get her out and show you some more details. 1 second. All right, so I've got her out of the water right now. One thing I want to show you is, see these spikes they can stick out on their gill flaps? Those are sharp. They're sharp enough to actually puncture your skin, not deeply, but enough to make you think twice about picking them up there. They're definitely, even their fins, they're very stiff on the tips. They're sharp. Their skin itself is fairly coarse. The skin itself is fairly coarse. On the male, it felt like sandpaper the last time I was handling him. And they're so spiky, like with those gill flap spikes and the fins and stuff. I'd rather not catch them in a net if I can. I'd rather, find some other way to catch them. Like right now, you don't see me using a net. Even when I was holding her, I didn't have a net. In fact, I'm going to get her out now, put her in a display container here, so we can talk about her more. And I'm not going to use a net. I'm going to catch her by hand. It's going to take a little bit, but if I go slowly, then that helps a lot. You can't, and you're definitely not going to catch them if you go fast. But bear with me. I'm going to put the camera down while I catch her, and put her in the display container. Just kind of chilling now, and I wanted to show you what I feed them. So, big one for these is algae wafers. And that's what they're algae eaters, herbivores mainly. Now they do need some protein to help them develop their eggs. They can use that, and of course, so here's some bloodworms. They love them. Almost everything loves bloodworms. It's like worms for sport fish. All fish like worms, right? So they eat bloodworms, and here's the bloodworms themselves. I buy mine in cubes like this, and then for my male and female both, I give them 2. If it's just when I have my male out and he's sitting on eggs, I'll just have 1 cube, and I do that about every other day. That's what I feed them. That seems to work pretty good with getting them ready for breeding in about a month, every month. So here's the worms themselves. Yep, red worms. Don't know for sure about the blood net part of the name. I don't want to make any assumptions on that. The other thing I feed them is when I have too many baby brine shrimp, when I feed my fry and stuff like that, I'll squirt some extra brine shrimp, the water containing the brine shrimp, into the main tank. The brine shrimp will settle to the bottom, and then they eat the stuff out the bottom. They're bottom feeders. So they definitely like the brine shrimp. That helps them too. A lot of protein in them. Bloodworms, really, really good. They'll sink to the bottom, and they're bottom feeders. So that's what we need, something that's going to sink to the bottom. And one little tip about getting these things out of the packages is, if you notice, they're frozen. So these things are frozen to the plastic. And I finally learned to let them thaw out a minute or 2, so they actually get a little bit unfrozen from the plastic casing. Then I can easily pop them out. Alright, so bloodworms, algae wafers, and some vegetables. A lot of people like to feed them different vegetables. Okay, in this case, I feed mine green beans. They seem to be the easiest one because they come canned, already cut up. These are French style. They, you know, the skin on the outside is a little bit tougher, so I use the French style green beans. And now my adults don't like them. They just like, just want my algae wafers and my bloodworms and my other stuff, but don't want the green beans. And also another thing, you can feed them when they're growing up. So I feed this though to my young bristlenose. They love them. They'll actually go to them sometimes before they go to the algae wafers. Another thing I feed them, I've done too, is zucchini squash, slices of that. That also works very well. I'd heard about bell peppers. Nah, I haven't gotten them to eat bell peppers. Alright, so that's it for the food. This is my main thing here. The algae wafers every day, about 1 wafer per fish. They're pretty good size now. So, and I have some other cherry shrimp and stuff in there to eat them, but this is pretty much, and they consume that, it's gone the next day for the 1 wafer per fish. And even the bloodworms, I give them a cube per fish every other day. So that's how I feed my fish. And now back to her. And so the next thing we're going to see is I'm going to put her back in the tank. I'm going to feed him, and we're going to watch a little bit of her eating, maybe with the big daddy brute, Bristlenose Pleco, and I'll do some commentary on that. See you soon. Here she is in her tank. Isn't she sexy? Our big daddy Pleco we're gonna see on the next video is gonna, he thinks so. Now just to let you know, this is a short fin super red. You can, one way I tell is that her her front fins don't really reach all very much to the second set of fins. Also, that tail is only about as long as it is high. One thing I like about her is how nicely she holds up her fins. There she is eating. She spends a lot of time eating. These things remind me of cows, where they have to eat all the time. Of course, she eats algae. They eat algae all the time, so yes, they have to eat all that algae to get the protein and energy they need, just like cows do, other types of grazing animals. Alright, now got some other video here coming up where she should be showing us her belly. She does look like she's got a lot of eggs and be ready to breed soon, to lay eggs. One thing I do, this pair is very prolific. They would probably be trying to lay eggs every week if I let them. So what I have to do, here she's coming up on the glass, and I'm gonna go back to breeding and them laying eggs in a second here. She's coming up. And when she comes up on the glass, you'll get to see her mouth parts. They're really very hard, like gristle, that she used to scrape off the algae, and then they eat it. They mostly eat algae. They do eat some meat though. They have a well-rounded diet, the omnivores. They will eat bloodworms, which I showed you earlier. They also eat the baby brine shrimp. They'll basically, when I put the baby brine shrimp in there, they'll fall down to the bottom, and the pair will eat them. So another thing you can see on her when she comes up on the glass is that she is a lot of white on the, she's very wide. That's from the eggs. Alright, so that's about it for this time. Oh yeah, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about them when they're egg laying, spawning. I'll put in I keep the cave out their spawning cave. That's what they use to spawn in. If I keep that out, I keep them from spawning. And then, but then when I put it in, the male has learned, basically as soon as I put it in, I've seen him do their spawning in less than 6 hours. He gets in there, you'll see him hurrying in there. If there's any trash in there, you'll see that come flying out, literally flying out, and he's doing his stuff in there, and then by that night they will have spawned. I've seen that happen several times now. They get with it real quick. One thing, so if you have trouble getting them to spawn, try taking out that cave. Let them know that, you know, they've got to do it. When that cave's available, they don't have all week, all month, all year to do their thing. Their time is limited, so that really works for them. Alright, till the next video, thank you for watching. Remember to click the like and subscribe button and that little bell to get notifications when I send out a new video. And please comment how I can serve you better and what you think of this video. And we will see you next time when we're going to feature the big daddy beast and brute longfin Pleco. He certainly looks it too. Alright, talk to you later. Bye bye.